too. You want to get some help? That's what we need, is shades. Oh, you know what? There you go. That's the way to do it. That could be it. Yeah. Oh, you gonna stay? They're trying to. Nope. Not gonna do it. It's not gonna work. I had ones that had like thinner things here, and they definitely fit in there. But I guess maybe I could do it down here. You can get some kind of sympathetic vibration out of those too. That actually, you know, happen to he has the toothbrush on his guitar. You got some of that. Yeah, that's right. Just get a little rattle. Yeah. I just thought that was so funny. Like he could take his guitar to anybody that checks, but he put the toothbrush in there when he was a teenager and just like that's it. Have you ever seen those rattlesnake guitars? No. They basically like tape tail and put it kind of like where the bridge is going to play the strings, but shake. And it sounds like a rock. Whoa. Like a shaker. So, you know, you're getting rhythm. It's like shaking in the background. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's pretty sweet. I know, so when I went over to the tune in Georgia, we did some cool art there. I met this bass player too who was from Scandinavia somewhere. I can't remember which country, but his thing and what he's like the research on his position is like percussion instrument. So yeah, what he did, and I have mixed feelings about this, but what he did is he took his bass and he basically just like installed like marimbas and like other sorts of like percussion instruments there, and he would play, you know, like as he was playing bass, which is cool. Yeah.
Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome. Welcome to Let's Talk Jazz. Thanks for being here and thanks to Student Activities for funding and supporting this event. My name is Harriet Hoover. I'm the Associate Department Head for Foreign Languages and Fine Arts, and we're thrilled to host our guests today. Brandon Mitchell on the drums, Andrew Powell on the bass, and Chip Newton on the guitar, and they will walk us through the musical, social, and historical background of the jazz genre. Our visiting artists are all renowned professional touring musicians and teaching artists who perform throughout the U.S. and internationally and locally, so hopefully you'll be able to see them out in the community sometime as well. So please join me in welcoming Brandon Mitchell, Andrew Powell, and Chip Newton to Wake Tech.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's always good to be back here at Wake Tech. For those of you all who don't know, I taught here. It felt like ages ago now, but I guess it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So it's always fun to come back and do this clinic and always kind of be able to focus on jazz as we go. So here's the game plan for today, okay? We're gonna do a little introduction. I'll let these guys tell you a little bit more about themselves, some of their experience as well. There's a few key elements that we're going to just kind of continuously hear throughout the day, so I kind of want to make sure that we kind of describe those and what those are going to sound like. And then if you guys walked in, you should have gotten a handout here. There should be some more up front as well. But on here is going to be a list of a bunch of different subgenres of jazz, okay? And that's going to be one of our main focuses today, is really making sure that we're playing through these different genres so you guys can experience it, hear it, and judge for yourself what your favorite subgenre is, right? I think a lot of times people get stuck, like when they hear jazz, they think one very specific thing, one very specific sound, right? But jazz in itself, I mean, even on just this page, we got about 13 or 15 different subgenres, and that's not even all of them, right? So it's a very vast type of music, and we'll get a chance to hear that today. You guys mind telling a little introduction about yourselves, maybe your name, some of your musical experience, and then since we're talking subgenres, can you guys tell some of the genres that you tend to play in the most?
Yeah, I'll start. My name is Andrew Powell. I'm a double bass player. I also play electric bass. I've been playing almost my entire life, but I started with the double bass later in life. I've got my master's degree from North Carolina Central, which is where I met this fine fella over here. Let's see, so a little bit about my playing background. I love playing all sorts of jazz music. One of the
things we talk about is like straight ahead jazz, which is, you know, kind of like bebop and like, you know, more like swing era and hard bop type stuff. So I play a lot of that, but more recently I've definitely been getting into some South American styles, which has been really, really fun. I've been playing a lot of like samba sort of jazz in the, you know, vein of people like Hermeto Pascual and Ayrton Moreira. And I've also been recently playing also with Brandon in a Uruguayan candombe jazz group, which has been really, really fun and kind of opening me up to some new rhythms in the jazz idiom and in the specifically the South American jazz idiom, which has been really cool. I've historically also played a lot of the music of Django Reinhardt, which y'all might be familiar with as gypsy jazz. So that's kind of my main forte as far as playing goes.
Cool. Thanks, Andy. What about you, Chip?
Well, I'm looking at this list. I was just thinking, like, I think I have played pretty much in all of these styles at various times, except for maybe ragtime, because I don't play piano, and I don't know too many guitar players that play ragtime piano on guitar. But
Charlie Hunter.
okay,
Yeah.
he's not a mortal.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, right now I guess I'm kind of playing more in the swing and hard bop style. I just came out with a record with a local jazz organist, Tony Thompson, and we did a trio record that kind of zoomed in on the music of Jimmy Smith and Hank McGriff and some of these kind of hard bop players. But I've been playing guitar since 1988, and I got to know Brandon at Elon University. A long time ago, he was a student of mine, and now we're both teachers and professional musicians, so we're colleagues. But even back then, he played great as a student. I didn't have to teach him much at all, if anything. We just get together and jam. And I guess, Andy, I've known you for what, like 10 or 12 years or something?
Yeah.
I also love playing gypsy jazz, Django Reinhardt, because Django Reinhardt was a guitar player, so that fits a lot better on this instrument than piano, no doubt about that. And I think maybe today we're going to hear a little bit of a touch of that.
Yeah.
Right? So sure. Glad to be back.
Cool. Thank you, Chip. So, as I said, my name is Brandon Mitchell. I play drums. I'm also a vibraphonist, if anyone knows what that is. If you don't know what that is, imagine a xylophone, but it has metal bars at the top, and it has a pedal at the bottom, similar to a piano. So, super cool instrument for sure. Genre-wise, I tend to stick more so, I would say, in between the swing and the hard bop genres. But as Andy mentioned, we've been playing a lot of these South American styles of jazz lately, so it's definitely been taking us to kind of like a new idiom and a new language in a sense, which is super cool. And then playing-wise, I think I've been playing for probably about 20 years or so, somewhere around there. So definitely a lot of experience that's up here on the stage for us. I think just to kind of warm us up a little bit as well, before we really get into the explanations of things, I just kind of want to play for you all a little bit, okay? So, you guys want to play Billy's Bounce?
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll start with the good old blues, and we'll kind of talk through a few things afterwards. Fast you want to take it?
Maybe up there.
Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. about you all, if you've ever been in a situation, but you go in cold sometimes, right? So that's just kind of a way for us to kind of loosen up, start to feel a little bit warm, feel a little bit more comfortable with the situation, okay? So that one was a blues called Billy's Bounce by a famous bebop saxophonist named Charlie Parker, okay? There's a few things that I kind of want to talk about. We've heard in that tune, and we're going to kind of just continue to hear throughout all these different genres and subgenres that we tackled today. So feel free, if you got your paper, take a look at it. What I want to go through are just the very top section, which are the important jazz elements that we see right there. So like I said, these are kind of some of those elements that you're just going to continuously see no matter what the decade is, no matter the instrumentation that's kind of happening as well. So the first one that we have on there is rhythm and syncopation, okay? So rhythm, when people tend to think about like what is rhythm, it's how we are making sound in time, right? Of course, the guitar makes a certain sound, the bass makes a certain sound, drums make a certain sound, but we need it to be in some sort of like organized time fashion or pattern in order to actually make it sound like music, basically, okay? So what happens in jazz music is instead of everything really kind of feeling like down on the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Jazz kind of really pushes us up, 1, 2. So because of that, it feels like less heavy compared to say, I don't know, pop music, hip hop music, you know, country music. It almost feels like we're about to fall off the ledge like all of the time, right? But that's kind of what really gives jazz music that excitement and the propelling forward motion that we tend to get with it, okay? So that describes what syncopation is, okay? When we talk syncopation, we're talking about not playing the downbeats, but we're talking about playing the upbeats. Okay? So as you guys tend to listen to us today, even if you're just kind of tapping your foot, keeping the beat along, I want you to think about how much you tend to hear, say, Chip as he's playing and soloing. How much does his line start on the beat, right, compared to like off the beat, okay? So that's going to be a big one for us when we talk jazz, no matter what decade we're looking at. That takes us right into the next term, which is the swung eighth note, okay? So I think this one is just a little easier to demonstrate, okay? So I have a lot of drum students we tend to do this with. You talk a basic, regular eighth note, I tend to think like a rock beat, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? All those ands that I'm hitting are exactly spaced out just enough. Everything is kind of equidistant from each other. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But if you compare that with the swung eighth note, what happens is that and gets shifted. Okay, so now it sounds something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, straight eighth note. Swung eighth note. Can you guys think of have you all like ever heard a beat like that played before? Right? Can you think of the like genre? What kind of genre did you hear it in?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll, okay. Definitely hear it in rock and roll a lot. Obviously we hear it in jazz being used. We can hear it in gospel music a lot of times. We can hear it in country music a lot of times, right? So these are kind of like the ideas and the musical elements that go beyond just jazz in itself, okay? So the swung eighth note is going to be a very, very important one for us. Form is just the structure, right? How many bars are we playing before we all start over again, right? Sometimes I think people tend to look at jazz musicians as like superheroes on the stage, right? Because we just hop up there, we could meet for the first time, right? We call a tune and we're all just off to the races. Well, the reason for that is because we all are very aware of the form that's being played, okay? So case in point, that first song that we played, it was a 12-bar blues or 12-bar form. So every 12 bars, no matter what happens, we know we're back to the top and we're always going to be syncing up with each other, okay? So form is super important just to make sure that the musicians and also the audience can kind of be on the same page with each other, okay? This is not You can have vocals, but we tend to play jazz more as an instrumental form of music. So we don't have the lyrics to really like guide us within the song, right? When there's lyrics, you can, okay, this is the verse, okay, this is the chorus, cool. But when you're listening to instrumental music, it's way harder to kind of dictate a lot of this information. So that's why that form is going to be super important. Okay, harmony, that's our chords. We're going to play. You'll hear Chip play a lot of chords today. Not too worried about that one. Instrumentation, just depending on the era that you're going through, you'll see a lot of different instrumentation. So case in point, if you're in the swing era or the big band era, right, this instrumentation will look a lot different. There will be probably about 15 or 20 musicians up on the stage. You'll see saxophones, trumpets, trombones, etc. So instrumentation does change. For us and for demonstration purposes, we'll do everything as a trio for you guys today. But if we do get to a certain subgenre where the instrumentation tends to typically be a little different, I'll make sure to make note of that. Okay, two more. The next one that we have is improvisation. Does everyone know here what improvisation is? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, cool. Anyone know what like freestyling is? Say in like hip hop, right? Kind of the same difference, okay? We're just talking about in jazz, it's this idea of spontaneously creating melodies on the spot, okay? Now, at the end of the day, it's not being made out of thin air. We're still following the form. We're still following the harmonies that Chip and Andy are helping to lay down, right? So there's still structure within it, but it's kind of like our personal taste on the music, okay? In a setting like this, you're gonna hear a lot of improvisation today, and maybe we'll make sure to stretch out a little bit more for them as well, so they can check that out. Okay, last one, and I'll stop talking, is the blues. So the blues is a genre of music. The blues is a form. The blues is a feeling, right? The blues kind of has a lot of different meanings that comes behind it. When we just heard it a second ago, we really heard it as a 12-bar blues, so more as a form that's being used. But it's kind of one of those words that has multiple meanings, especially when it comes to jazz music as well, too. So just a very interesting one. We'll kind of continue to touch on that as we go here. Okay, I've done enough talking for a second. I would like to play a little bit. What you want to play, Chip?
You want to take the people to New Orleans a little?
Yeah.
Were you? Same thing, too.
Yeah. Let's check it out. So we're going to play a tune for you guys called Just a Closer Walk with Thee. And what we're going to do is try to play it more so in a Dixieland style or more so in a New Orleans jazz style. So you're going to kind of hear me set it up a little bit here with what we like to call a second line beat, right? When I think New Orleans jazz, I think When the Saints Go Marching In. So that's kind of the vibe that we're going to be trying to channel.
And it was just recently Mardi Gras. Or
It was?
Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
so
It's,
still is.
it is still
yeah,
Mardi
it
Gras.
is.
Exactly.
So this is good.
Perfect timing.
Go to New Orleans.
You want me to set up?
Yeah.
Yeah, super fun one, really fun one, guys. So that one, like I said, we did that in a New Orleans, Dixieland style. Dixieland jazz is one of the earliest forms of jazz that we do have. If anyone has ever heard the name Louis Armstrong, right, that's probably one of the first people we all tend to really think about when we think Dixieland. But it really kind of served as one of the true foundations for jazz music to build upon from there, okay? So from there, we was able to kind of take this idea of starting to incorporate improvisation of the music and kind of take it to a new level, which is what Louis Armstrong did, moving forward into genres such as bebop, hard bop, right, the Latin jazz, etc., okay? So a really fun one to play there. After Dixieland, what we get, especially kind of particularly within the 1930s or the late 1920s, is that big band era. And what people really tend to think of as jazz when we say the swing era, okay? So I'm thinking names like Duke Ellington, right? Count Basie, Benny Goodman, Fletcher Henderson is one that a lot of people forget about a lot of times. But like these were a lot of the big band leaders of the day, okay? What's today's like popular music, would y'all say? What's the commercial music of today? Say it again?
Hip-hop.
Okay, yeah, I mean pretty much, right? Like hip hop, we could say some certain R&B, certain pop tunes that you go. Back in the 1930s, the popular music of the day was the swing music, okay? So all the people your age, all the teenagers and stuff, this is what they was turning on the radio to actually listen to. So I know it's kind of hard to think about that and imagine that in 2024, but this definitely was the case though. So we want to play a swing tune for you guys. We're going to play one called On the Sunny Side of the Streets. that sheet that you guys have in front of you, the subgenres are, it's a survey, okay? It's a survey, and it's pretty much in chronological order. We, however, are not playing in chronological order. I wish we had enough time to play one tune out of every single one of these genres, but there's just not enough time today. So we're just kind of picking a few of them just to go through, and once again, just letting you all kind of get an ear on it, and what does this specific genre kind of really sound like, okay? So we want to go through, let's play another one, and then maybe afterwards, what I want to start to do is get a little bit of a hand count, a little bit of a vote so far, kind of see which genres you all are digging the most, all right? What you want to play? Let's do Softly.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
So this next tune we're going to play is called Softly as a Morning Sunrise. It's kind of being based out of the hard bop era. really appreciate it. It's getting kind of hot up here. Y'all haven't
Can I
noticed.
talk just a tiny bit?
Yeah, please.
That last tune, that ending, like, we didn't talk about how to end this song. Sometimes we say, like the tune before that, I actually kind of told them, we're gonna take an extended tag, just listen to me, and I trust them, because I've played with them for so many times during the years, I knew that they would get it. But this one, we didn't talk about it. That's the beautiful thing about jazz, is sometimes it's like ESP, and I don't know of any other art form that's like that. When you get people playing something, and then you know how to end it, and you know the other guys are gonna end it that way. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's a certain form of like communication that really comes within the music, you know. And once again, we're all improvising at the end of the day, but this is where that form really comes in handy, right? Knowing that we're at the end, kind of knowing some of these like standard jazz traditions that people tend to do. Case in point, like you said, tagging the ending, right? We didn't really have to think about it too much. We just kind of take a gander, right? Take a glance, and then we all kind of know we're going there. So I don't know if you all have ever heard, but I've always heard people describe jazz as like a living, breathing form of music, right? This is a form of music that it exists on record, yes, but traditionally speaking, we hear this in a live setting, and we hear this as people actually communicate with one another too, right? So with that being said, the same tune is never going to sound the same twice. We could play the same exact song again, and I guarantee you it's going to sound differently, right? Because once again, it's always living. It's always going to feel different. You guys never, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but you guys aren't always in a good mood. You're not always happy, right? You're not always going to be sad, right? We kind of have those ups and downs, and that's kind of the same thing here in the music as well. I'll do one more before we kind of get to our boat, but let's do something a little bit more, I guess, common.
Okay.
So in jazz, basically throughout history, everybody's just taken genres of music and mixed it with jazz, okay? So you can take rock, mix it with jazz. Funk, mix it with jazz, right? Hip hop, mix it with jazz. This happens so many times over and over and over. Hold your question if you can. We're gonna have a Q&A session, right? What I wanna do right now though, is we're gonna mix it up a little bit, do something a little bit more with the backbeat that you guys are used to hearing. But we're still gonna do it in a jazz form, okay? So we're gonna play a jazz funky form of a tune called Sunny.
Okay, cool.
You guys down to play Sunny?
Sunny, yeah.
Let's do it. 1, 2. 1, 2. funkier, kind of bring it up into modern times a little more, if you will. Okay, so we have about a little more than 10 minutes left. I want to get to some questions, okay? If anyone has any questions here, maybe we'll kind of save the last tune to play you guys out as you're getting out of here. But let me go ahead and grab some questions for a second. Sir.
To catch up on something you said before, was you saying that the communication between the instrumentalists on the team was communicating through the sounds of the instruments themselves, gathering through the sounds that were being generated?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll field that one. Definitely. I mean, this music is, like Brandon said, it's a living music, and it's really just a conversation between us up here on the stage. And what we're using to communicate is the exact same things that you use to communicate when you speak with your friends, right? Except instead of, words, we're using our sounds, and there's nonverbal communication that happens as well. We might, give a side eye, like if Chip does something weird up here, I might be like, hey, Chip, that was kind of weird, Like, I won't say that, I'll just do it with my eyes, So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, we're communicating with the sounds of our instruments. We all understand kind of this basic structure and how this conversation goes. We've had a lot of these conversations in our life, and I think we communicate both with the sounds of our instruments and then also with sort of our nonverbal communication and just our general energy kind of up here. So hope that answers your question.
Have you ever talked to somebody so much or had such a good friend that you could kind of like finish their sentence? Kind of know what they're going to say next, right? Once again, like Andy said, it's the same idea here. Just through our like multiple conversations that we have over and over, we can kind of anticipate and almost assume what the next person is going to say or where they're going to go. Cool, okay. Yes, sir.
So what led you to pursuing a career in music? What have you done?
How much time do you have?
Yeah, right. So for me, I always was an athlete. So in high school, like I was a big two-sport athlete, playing basketball and football. Thought I was going to go to college and go do it, Senior year, I blew out my ACL, MCL, and meniscus all on one play. Ended my entire sports career. Luckily for me, and life just kind of has a way of working itself out like this. I played music since I was in 4th grade. I was always doing it. So once that happened, it really just gave me the motivation to kind of like focus my efforts towards music, right? 'Cause sports and music is just what I love to do. So after that, then I was really able to get kind of prepared, and then life just happens from there, right? And you get gigs, you start to travel, and then, I think music chose me, in a sense, to say.
I have to give credit to my mom, and Michael J. Fox, the reason I became my mother and Michael J. Fox. In 1985, I was 10 years old, and I saw the movie Back to the Future 5 times in the theater. And the scene at the end that we all know where he's playing that red Chuck Berry guitar just planted the seed. So when I got a guitar, I was playing rock and roll and Chuck Berry and other things. But my mom, because she was a musician, she played in the church, played piano, she had a huge record collection. She had jazz records. And she also had classical guitar records. And it took me a while to kind of listen to those, but thankfully I had that at my disposal. And so now I'm going to be 50 this year. I can't find anything better to do with my life than doing what I love, which is playing jazz guitar and classical guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it ended up. Now I have to say my parents were a little worried when I told them that I wanted to grow up and be a musician.
Same.
Yeah. But if you keep doing it, if you remain true to yourself, you'll be fine. And so I think we got a question up there. Yeah, Brent.
Yes, sir.
So, I know y'all got like 5 minutes left. For like 3 minutes, can y'all play an Afro Q jazz? While we still have y'all here?
Yeah.
You want to do You Know What Love Is?
Yeah. Yeah. We can definitely do that. Let me see if there's any other questions first, and then we'll kind of play it out from there. Up in the top. Yep.
For someone getting into jazz and playing, what subgenre do you recommend starting out with?
Okay, I hear you. I would say, I think swing is a really good place to start, as it really serves as like kind of a foundation of what you're going to see moving forward from there. So start with swing, and then if you're brave enough, go to bebop. and then everything else just kind of falls under those two in some certain way or setting.
Yeah, and if you're serious about, basically playing this music, I think the number one thing that you need is you need a mentor, right? Like, I think all of us have had, over the years, just numerous people that, have really just shaped us musically and have helped us out along the way. So, it's really, really important that that system of mentor-mentee kind of continues, and that's all how we all learned, and that's how almost everyone learns how to play this music. So.
Have you all ever gotten any like really weird audience requests for songs of song?
Yes.
Yes.
Play Freebird! Like, that comes up like every gig. It's a jazz gig, we're not doing that. What about you guys?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy ones.
Right here?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, going back to the conversation of what really makes jazz jazz. We discuss how jazz is a genre really has a particular beat in comparison to other genres. But I gotta ask, in terms of in and of itself, what would you say there? Would you say there is a main rule to when it comes to the composition of jazz? You'd say all subgenres have to follow. What do they all have in common in terms of composition, in terms of beat?
Yeah.
That really makes it all jazz.
That's a really good question. I think some of the common things that you'll see above all the genres, improvisation stays pretty steady through. Arrangement is another thing that kind of tends to stay pretty common throughout, right? So setting up an intro, setting up an outro, how we tagging it, ending it. Some of those things I would say. And then just some of the basic harmonies that we find in jazz, they do tend to still go genre through genre. Now, the more modern you get, the more that we try to really kind of stretch these harmonies a little bit more. But they're all still kind of coming from the same like foundation, if you will. So I would say those are kind of some of the biggest things that you'll see.
To add on to that too, I think an emphasis on blues language is in all genres of jazz, and that's one of the things that really defines it as a style, is the emphasis on that language and that particular tonality.
Yeah, Louis Armstrong, Pops, as he's nicknamed, really the father of jazz. He said you can't really have jazz unless you have the blues element in it. The blues interweaves all through this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we got time for 2 more questions right here.
So you being a drummer, like with a lot of experience, like if you're talking to someone who's like starting out, what do you think like the most important rudiments to practice are to like become a good drummer?
Yeah, I hear you. Any specific genre or just in general?
Just in general.
Singles, doubles, and just focus on keeping time. Drummers tend to do too much. And when we do too much, we break time and we break the feeling of the music. So channel your inner Questlove, if you know who Questlove is, guy from the Roots, right? And like really just focus on making the music like feel good. I am not a choppy drummer. I do not have a lot of crazy chops, but I have worked throughout my life because I know how to like make it feel good, which is what people ultimately want. Cool, okay, last question.
Yeah, this is directed at the bass player here. So what do you think are like the most like influential just bass players in jazz? Like if you had to name a few.
Oh, great question. I think my number one is probably Ray Brown, who played with the Oscar Peterson groups primarily, and was one of the number one bassists that vocalists chose to work with over the years. He was actually married to Ella Fitzgerald for a little while. My other favorite bass players are definitely PC, Paul Chambers. I really like a guy named Wilbur Ware, who's out of Chicago. He was on a lot of great records in the 50s and 60s. I think Sam Jones is another one. He's on some Sonny Rollins records and some Cannonball records. And I had to do a last one. I'd say Israel Crosby, who is the bass player for Ahmad Jamal's trio, and Ron Carter as well. Probably those ones. Just to rattle off.
It's a laundry list.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so unfortunately, we do have to get ready to get out of here. I do want to still play this last tune for you all as you all are leaving. If you have any other questions, if you have some time to kind of stick around, we'll be here just kind of breaking down. Feel free to come talk to us. If you're interested in just learning more, maybe checking out some original music, kind of seeing what we're doing in the area where we're playing, there's a nice little board down here with my pretty face and the QR code on it. If you hit that QR code, it just takes you to a link tree. Hit the website, go to the Spotify page, hear our original music, and things of that nature as well, okay? So I just want to say thank you all for having us today. This was super fun, super cool. Thank you to Harriet, Melania, all the Wake Tech staff. Always happy to speak as well. And we hope that we can get a chance to continue to do this in the future. We did this last year, I think maybe the year before that too. So it's kind of starting to just become a thing. So we hope that we can be able to return next year for you guys as well. Okay? All right, so we're gonna play one more tune for you guys. Feel free, if you guys gotta start to get out of here, feel free to do your thing. But this last tune we're gonna play is called You Don't Know What Love Is. Pretty fitting because it's Valentine's Day.
Anti-Valentine.
All right. Hey, thank y'all so much. We appreciate hanging out with you guys today. You all enjoy the rest of your day. Like I said, we'll be kind of up here hanging out. So if you got any questions or you just want to kind of talk a little bit, feel free to come and find us. All right, y'all have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the semester as well. This tune's super cool. The first time I ever played it was in Chip's combo class. Like this? Yeah. I was like, yeah, we got this.
It's one of those tunes that I like I know it like really well because I've heard it so many times. And then I look at the tunes like, okay, I got it.
How you doing? Brandon. Really? Hey, you Yeah, I mean, people either a lot of times find it to be y'all play J bass as well. So, I mean, especially when you start to talk about newer, like modern jazz, it's not the same thing as it should be. So I would say go find some like newer bass. Like if you're a drummer, check out some guys. Just go look up bass. I think it'll kind of change your perception. Appreciate you guys hanging out for sure. Yeah. You like that? Yeah, I mean, a lot of jazz drummers end up playing like so if you're writing, yeah, I learned how to play writing at this point. Every now and then. Yeah, this one's trying to, I guess I'm trying to get it. Yeah, no, it's definitely a good practice. Here? Yeah, what up? Wow. Yeah, it's called the sharp round. Yes. You too. I'm good. Durham Jazz Workshop. You can also find it.
Good, how are you?
Same place.
You make much music? I don't even play it. Okay, nice. Yeah, yeah, wonderful. I won't be in class today.